It's another Seattle Kraken game day, and tonight, our Seattle Kraken have to play with and for pride as they host the Vegas Golden Knights. It's another Seattle Kraken game day, and the Seattle Kraken are on the road. And tonight, the goal is simple: play with and for pride against the Vegas Golden Knights.
You are Locked On Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We are the Seattle Kraken.
Hey, what do you say, Seattle hockey fans? Welcome to another episode of Locked On Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Erica L. Ayala, bringing you all your insights about the Seattle Kraken and their affiliates, the Coachella Valley Firebirds and the Kansas City Mavericks. You can find my women's basketball work over at CBS Sports, also contribute a little bit to the National Hockey League coverage there. And of course, you can follow Black Rosie Media, a platform dedicated to empowering Black women in sports media. Today's episode of Locked On Kraken brought to you by our good friends at Game Time. We want to make sure that you find the best deals and on tickets. And the best way to do that is to download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Could even work tonight. If you happen to be in Vegas, you want to check out the Seattle Kraken as they take on the Vegas Golden Knights and set it in the open. We'll get to the stats in a minute, but set it in the open. The Seattle Kraken team really has to play for pride. And there are a few different reasons why. One is that the Seattle Kraken are not playing particularly well. We talked about it on yesterday's episode that haven't won a game since the trade deadline. And, it's just all of the things that we've been talking about throughout the season that keep rearing their ugly head: inconsistency, inability to start on time, inability to close out games, making mistakes defensively, leaving our goaltenders out to dry. And so as far as momentum, and we know head coach Dave Haxel, he doesn't like to talk about momentum carrying over from game to game, but maybe that was last year's Kraken team. And whether Dave likes it or not, momentum seems to be a factor for this year's squad. And the momentum, we've never been able to catch up with any kind of momentum. And we talked about it, less than 1% odds to make the playoffs. So you have to put that away just for a little bit. Everyone knows that you're playing for a playoff spot, and everyone knows that you're not in a good spot to make the playoffs. But what you can do is take things personally. And maybe the Seattle Kraken need to take personally the fact that they were unable to hold on to a lead against the Vegas Golden Knights at Climate Pledge Arena. Maybe they need to take pride in and, take exception in that they've been kind of punked around for the last few games. A team like Washington, a team like Buffalo, that at least on paper we should be able to beat. But whether it's their momentum or whether it's their drive to perform like a team that's playing for their playoff position, we have been punked. And so don't even worry about the standings. Don't even, worry about how many games are left. Like Ellie Tolvanen said, we talked on yesterday's episode, you shouldn't really be worried about who your line mates are. You should win by any means necessary. Now, I'll put in a little caveat because for those who are everydayers and OGers, I hate games that get sloppy because we decide, we're going to puff out our chest and be macho when we're not. We don't play that kind of game. So I'd like to see them play smart, hard-nosed hockey. That's the only way this team has ever won games. Ever in our history. It's not a long history, but we have to be a blue-collar, lunch-pail, scrappy team. And you don't get a lot of days off. You often have to work harder than everyone else just to get a semblance of balance. Is it fair? Life's not fair. but it's the hand you've been dealt. This has to be a lunch pail, hardworking, I take exception to you punking me in my own barn kind of team. I want the sandpaper, and I want it against this Vegas team. Do I have any reason to believe that we can be a team like this? There have been brushes of brilliance, as I like to say, in the past. We've seen that, yeah, this team can get a little feisty. Yeah, this team can get, into the space, into the grill. But when I should say, do the Seattle Kraken play that type of game? When do they excel most? You already know what I'm going to say. When they're focused on the 3 F's, being fast, forechecking, and yeah, toss in having a little bit of fun. We don't play well when we're gripping. Most people don't, not everyone, but most people don't perform well when they're gripping their sticks, when they're focusing too much on the wrong things. The Seattle Kraken need to throw it all out the window. We've talked about it in the last handful of episodes. Yesterday's episode included. Dave and his crew, the team, they're not really talking much after these losses. There's not much to say. At this point, I personally would have liked to see the team engage in a few more practices and a more competitive I do think training camp was competitive, but I don't know that we pushed the team physically in the ways that I would have liked to see. And that's always a balancing act. But I can tell you, when I was an NCAA athlete, your off-season training was hard because the coaching staff, although they were expecting you to do work in the off-season, wasn't anticipating that everyone's workload was the same. You have to set your new team level. And yeah, you have a responsibility to do work in the off season, and the coaching staff has a responsibility to kind of whip your behind and get you ready for the season. And I've always found, I know that NHL training camps are super short, but hey, so is and in the history of the WNBA, we've always had super short times, and they find a way to get it done. Most of them also play all year round. But the point is, this is a team that I hope really takes a look at what they're doing throughout the season to prepare, because until we sign some big names, again, talked about that on yesterday's episode, I think there's a lot of questions that we've got to ask this front office. Until they are going to get some heavy hitters, and until they are going to, get some players that we know undeniably can put a team on their back, this is how we have to play. And here's the thing. You're not going to be able to level up the type of caliber player that you're getting in the NCAA in the NHL if you're not winning games. And even if you're losing games, you can't get punked. No one wants to go play for a punk team. Punks play for punks. That might seem a little harsh, but it's true. Work hard. Dig deep. I need to see that from this team, and it's been missing. It's been missing all season, and now, they have a real good chance here. Take it personally. Go out there and convince yourself you will not lose to the Vegas Golden Knights. Just put it in your mind. Everything else, evacuate from your thought process. You will not lose tonight to Vegas. Can they do it? I think they can. They don't have a track record of doing it very well or even consistently, but that's what I want to see. Coming up, we'll talk about some of the stats and facts that you need to know going into this game. And then we will close out just again, thinking about what the road ahead looks like for this Seattle Kraken team. That's coming up on today's episode of Locked On Kraken. Today's episode of Locked On Kraken, as I mentioned at the top of the show, brought to you by our friends at Game Time. I love using Game Time when I'm on the road, which is quite often. I'm in a city maybe I'm not familiar with or that I don't live in, and I have some downtime. What am I doing? I'm checking out Game Time. Is one of my favorite bands in town? Is there a cultural experience? Or maybe even a sporting event that I can go to and get good tickets. That's why I love going to Game Time. I can find killer last minute deals, all in prices, and the view from the seat I love. Mwah. chef's kiss. Also love the fact that there is a game time guarantee. And that means that you'll always get the best price. If you find a ticket in the same section, the same row, and of course at the same event, for the less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Seattle hockey fans, we're talking about why this team has to go and play for pride. And also, we'll talk about the road ahead, what the standings are looking like. It's looking pretty bleak for the Seattle Kraken, but we have a chance to make some noise against the Vegas Golden Knights, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. Want to remind you, though, that Locked On, I want to remind you, though, that Locked On has the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel program for your everyday to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Let's take a look at the wonderful game notes prepared by the Seattle Kraken staff. So we see that the Vegas Golden Knights sitting at 79 points, a 36-25-7 record. The Seattle Kraken 68 points, 28, 27, and 12. Our away record 14-12-6. The Vegas Golden Knights are 21-11-2 at home. Now, both teams struggling a little in their last 10 games. The Vegas Golden Knights are 4-6-0. The Seattle Kraken are 4-5-1. Our leading scorer, Jared McCann. Here's that name. You know I love pronouncing. Jonathan Marchessault has 59 points for the Vegas Golden Knights. McCann with 53. I don't remember if I said that or not. The PK, just special teams overall. Very curious to see how this is going to go. Overall, let me get rid of this. Overall, the Seattle Kraken have been finding themselves in situations where they're not playing 5-on-5 hockey, and that tires this team out. I don't think they recuperate very well from the frustration of not scoring on a power play. I don't think that they recuperate well from giving up a goal, especially late in a penalty kill. So I'd like this to be 5-on-5 hockey as much as possible. But let's take a look at the special teams. 21.3% clip on the power play for the Seattle Kraken, an 18.7% clip for the Vegas Golden Knights, 79% penalty kill to an 80% penalty kill. So again, on paper, the Seattle Kraken should be able to take advantage on special teams. Now, that hasn't been happening. It's been one of the inconsistencies as of late. And again, I think that's a little bit of the mentality, or we heard from Jordan Eberle yesterday talking a lot about confidence and how that impacts how you play. But I think also that he's talking about playing for pride. The pride that not everyone gets to play in the NHL. You never know how many games you're going to get. He just eclipsed 1,000, which is super special. And you're not guaranteed that. You're not guaranteed that. So what are you going to make of it? And that's another point of playing for pride. Maybe some people don't want to focus on Vegas. I think that's fine. But play for pride. Are you an NHLer? Yeah, you had to work and claw to get there. Yeah, you have to work and claw for some people to get a contract extension. But that doesn't mean the work is over. There's still opportunity, and you have to take it at face value. Being an NHLer is a great honor and a privilege. It's also hard work, and you have to dedicate yourself to that. I mean, I'm kind of talking to myself in a few areas of my life, where you're like, oh, this isn't happening. That's not happening. Oh, if only I had this, only I had that. I know I get caught up in that as well. But you gotta commit to putting that to the side at some point and just get it done. Just do it, so to speak. And that's where the Seattle Kraken have to be. We can't have any more team meetings. Again, what is there left to say? You just got to get out there and do the work. I need some sandpaper. I need some piss and piss and vinegar, whatever you want to call it. But this is a prime opportunity for the Seattle Kraken to reset, put all expectations to the side, and show us what kind of hockey team they truly are and who they want to be known, or how they want to be known, and who they want to be moving forward. This is a team that, again, if you need bulletin board material, they've given it to you, even just in our last game against the Vegas Golden Knights. So, I mean, I'd really like to see this team hunker down. When it comes to the roster, again, I kind of mentioned it at the top of the show. We haven't seen any real positive updates on Vince Dunn. He's been out for a while. We have gotten some positive information regarding Jaden Schwartz. It sounded like from Dave Haxtell that it would be kind of a game time decision, if he was available today. So I'm recording this before morning skate, so we won't have that information for this episode, but Dave will talk to media, and I doubt he'll give explicit updates, certainly not on our goaltending, which, that's a whole nother thing. I don't even know what to think about goaltending. We're right back there. I just think we overwork our goaltenders because we don't play solid team defense, but I say that all the time. I really want to see the team get after it tonight. Play fun, play fast, play free, and play with some pride. Play with some pride. You can take that a few ways. What is there left to lose? So just play for fun, play for pride. Or you can say, listen, we haven't been in a situation where we want yet. Until you're mathematically eliminated, technically there's still a chance. So are you the kind of team that's going to dig deep? Because whether you know it or not, and I had we actually didn't get to the subtext comments yesterday, but, I have some people in our Locked On Insiders community saying it's time to tank. Some people just saying, hey, let's just play fun, fast, and free. But I liked this comment. Wants to see the Seattle Kraken experiment with new things. And that's why I've been surprised we haven't seen recalled players. I don't see this roster continuing as constructed. It almost feels as though there's a resignation in the opposite way of last year to just be like, you know what, I guess let it fly. We'll see what happens in free agency. But I like this comment. Again, the comment saying, I will enjoy success and wins to the extent the team achieves them by using their situation to experiment with new things, untried strategies, recalled players, new lines. If it's getting wins by trying the same old same stuff versus a weak team, I will be very disappointed because we know what works, and now is not the time for that, in my opinion. I agree. Let's get experimental. Maybe that's part of the fun part. Maybe that's part of the pride part. Really find ways to engage yourself, because the Seattle Kraken don't seem engaged, if we're being honest. And that's a deadly, lethal, really uncomfortable thing to see, that your team effectively in some ways has given up. So I like that comment. I wanted to share it. Again, if you want to be a part of our Locked On Insiders community, you can text 918-731-3154. We have an AMA with me coming up. I'll do that before I leave for the NCAA tournament. I'll talk more a little about that. Maybe not tomorrow, but early next week. But we're going to do another AMA, and those are usually live and available first, if not exclusively, to the Locked On Kraken Insiders. But let's take a look, just for fun, at the standings and get a little bit of a lay of the land when it comes to what's happening throughout the National Hockey League. Today's episode of Locked On Kraken also brought to you by our friends at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is always what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle, level it up to peak performance, and you can find things like superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED lights, and so much more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with the eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Motors Guaranteed Fit only available, so sorry, for US customers. Playing for pride. That's honestly about the best we can do. I told you again, I liked that comment from one of our Locked On insiders. Let's not do the same old thing. Please, let's not do the same old thing. Let's not lose in the same way. Let's try something new. Let's be bold. Let's play for pride. Speaking of being prideful or proud, I'm super proud that we should get Blake Bolden on this call as the Vegas Golden Knights host the Seattle Kraken. I can't say enough about Blake Bolden, who's been a guest on Locked On Kraken, and so excited to see her do her thing. Just because I want to torture myself running through the standings here. Who's at the top of the Metropolitan Division? None other than the New York Rangers. Congratulations to you, Alex Wenberg. Moving on, the three teams at the top of the Pacific Division, the Vancouver Canucks, the Edmonton Oilers, and the organization that, in addition to ESPN, has employed Blake Bolden, the LA Kings. Now, when we're looking at this wild card, the Vegas Golden Knights are in that second wild card position. I'm rooting hard for Nashville and Minnesota at this point. They're The Vegas Golden Knights are in between those two teams. The Nashville Predators have 84 points and are leading the way there. They're on a 3-game win streak. The Vegas Golden Knights, as I told you, haven't been so successful in their last 10 games. They lost their last game. So coming into this game with a loss, the Minnesota Wild are third in the wild card standings, 76 points. So just 3 points behind the Golden Knights. St. Louis has made a resurgence. They're at 75 points. The Calgary Flames have 71 points. And then there's the Seattle Kraken, sixth and just above Arizona, Anaheim, Chicago, and San Jose, which we already know what's going on with those teams. 68 points. So getting a win in regulation, we'd finally get to 70 points. But again, play for pride. Play like your lungs are going to explode if you do not give your all. I'm serious. I really want to see the team get after it. And if they lose, they lose. But it's been so hard to see this team lose knowing that they left something in the tank. And I don't want that for them anymore. I don't want that for us anymore. So let's play fun. Let's play fast. Let's forecheck and play for pride. Show them who you are. I haven't done that in a while. That's that's from Wakanda, and Angela Bassett's character would say that, show them who you are. That's what we need. That's what's been missing. I honestly don't know if the team has always known what kind of a team this is. So I want to see fireworks. I want to see us fired up, and I want to see us containing that on our side of the game. I don't want us getting caught up in what Vegas is doing. They're there as almost like, and I mean this without any emotion behind it, but they're the punching bag, right? They are the target. We don't feel anything, when you're boxing. I would imagine most people don't have any feels like, oh, I don't want to hit the bag too hard. Hitting the bag hard is your goal. It is your mission. It is your purpose. It is what, in part, shows that you are putting in effort. So hit the bag. Don't be afraid. Hit the bag. Let's go after it. Go after this workout. Go after this game. Like there's pride on the line. That's all I have to say, except for my closing remarks, of course. Reminder, I'm Erica L. Ayala if we're meeting for the first time virtually. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Kraken. That's the program you've been listening to, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I close the same way every day. Be kind to yourselves. Be kind to one another. and hold fast, stay true, and loud and proud we say, let's go Kraken. Enjoy the game. I'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.